Welcome to Black Writer Therapy, a podcast where Black women writers are invited to sit on the proverbial couch, have a cup of tea, and share the stories behind the stories, and what it really takes to write books about Black women in an industry that still prefers white as the default. I'm your host, published author and unlicensed therapist, Alishon. Black Writer Therapy is now in session.
Piper G. Huguley's biographical historical fiction, By Her Own Design, a novel of Anne Lowe, fashion designer to the Social Register. William Morrow Publishing tells the inspiring story of the Black fashion designer of Jackie Kennedy's wedding dress. By Her Own Design was a Booklist Top 100 Editor's Choice selection for 2022, was named one of the top 100 books of 2022 in Canada by the Globe Mail newspaper, and was selected as the historical fiction winner for 2022 by the American Library Association's Reading Counts. Piper and Ella were talking about what changes are needed in the publishing industry and what frustrates Piper about working within that system. And now for the second part of Piper's session with your host and unlicensed therapist, Alishon.
I said, if I were a real counselor, right? If I had credentials and I had a real couch, what about dealing with the publishing industry would have you, hey, girl, I need an emergency appointment. Is the couch open? And you said there may not be a big enough audience for your writing. Speak to that, please.
It's really a big enough audience, but I think it does still have more to do with awareness of the product. It's all of these things in terms of what it is that you have to do in terms of making people be aware that you exist out there. And at least for certain mid-list authors, I think it's the stair steps climb. You certainly do not, for the most part, there are certain times it happens in a handful of titles, but you do not emerge and blot out is the bestseller list. It's increasing awareness with each subsequent book where that you climb to that situation.
I don't like that. Look at me. I don't like that because I've seen some bestsellers that are mediocre. I did that in 5th grade. And I'm being facetious at this point, but in all honesty, I hate that there are these hoops and all these things that continuously take place before you get that mantle of bestseller. Like, if you guys aren't reading, if you're not familiar with this woman and her books, then where have you been, under a rock? And it has everything to do with the fact that you're writing about these powerful Black women, historical, powerful Black women, and you're not centering. And you can't even center Jackie.
There have been other, book clubs that have been like, well, Jackie does not appear into the last third of this book quite intentionally.
She is, pretty much an accessory.
Yeah, the last third of the book.
It's like a model for her dresses and her designs. High five, air five, air five.
Yes.
Because yes. You're not centering. And a lot of the other historical fiction books that I've been reading and that are coming out, Black women are centered. And, I often say we can read anything with any kind of character. It doesn't matter because we have never been centered in any place, not our homes, not in the business, not society. It doesn't matter. We've never been centered. The fact that you all are writing these beautiful stories and you're centering these beautiful Black women and their stories, and you're not centering them in the muck and mire, you're centering them in Black joy and triumph.
Right.
I see how that could be threatening.
Potentially, yes. And it's like, and the way you have to advocate for that, because even with the cover, it took 9 attempts where I was on the verge of saying, maybe I should just fly up to New York and draw my stick figures, because that's as much of a drawing artist as I am, to show you what I mean. That even, like I said, in terms of the cover, that Anne Lowe be at the center, which was the entire point. of the cover. We need to see her in a power pose centered there. Yeah.
And let me ask you this, because I just thought about something when you said that. As you research all of your historical fictions, but specifically this one, as you researched it and wrote it, you did all the things, you advocated for what you wanted. Did you find yourself demanding to be centered in more spaces in your life?
I like you said, I don't. So maybe that's what, maybe if that's what I'm doing is like a thing. I see myself as giving some of that energy, verve, etc., to my subjects in terms of insisting on them being centered. I have told you who raised me, who brought me up. My mother would not want anything less. You always talk about, to my father, oh, you have two girls. Oh no, she want a son. My mother, like, Black women are the progenitors of the race.
Thank you.
There's nothing wrong with having women, girls. The family was not incomplete. It's complete.
3 girls.
He's the best girl dad too, by the way.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah. Totally the best girl dad.
I got one. We had to train him up in the way he had to go. Started. He was 17, trained him up. Let's he not depart.
Yeah, I heard that. That's good.
I think because you are centered. You center yourself, and that makes it possible for you to center that.
Yeah, there you go.
And I think that's one of the healing aspects of your book for readers, is that it's kind of a reminder.
Yeah.
You see what she did? That's what you do. That's what you do. You center yourself at all times, because we are not used to being centered by anyone.
That is true.
Now I just have one quick question, because we got to get to this game, our favorite part of the show. And you've already answered this question, but I have to make sure that the listening audience understands. The question is, what in the world gave Piper John the audacity to think that she, a Black woman, could write about Black women, center Black women, and go into the publishing industry, one of the whitest industries in the world, still predicated on the white default? What gave you this audacity to say, yep, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it on my terms, and I'm going to be successful, and watch what else I do? But you already answered it.
Yeah, I did answer that. That's true.
You answered it.
Yeah, I came from a place and people who told me I could, who insisted that I could. So eternally grateful for that.
Not only insisted, but said, proclaimed, this is what you're going to do. Yeah. This is how it's going to work out.
This is how it's going to happen.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Could you imagine if every little Black girl came from a space where it was not a question of if, or how, or what, just no questions at all. This is who you are. This is what is for you, and go about making it. Could you imagine?
Yeah, it would be marvelous. It would be so marvelous to have that. But this is why, the way, for me, this is what I'm hoping I can do, is by writing a book that talks about how to do that.
Yes.
Impart that for little Black girls who matter greatly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes.
There are no words. Really, there are no words. Okay. Okay. Really quickly, before we get into this game, because it's my favorite part. Aspiring writers who are looking at you or following your career, and they're like, how can I get to where you are? What do I need to do? How can I get my own Dresden Diva group? What do I need to do? When I tell you I'm impressed with the Dresden Divas, like, I'm not even pretending. I am so impressed with this little group of Black women who support each other, because you all are like the antithesis to what everyone believes. about Black women. They can't support each other. They can't do this, that, and the third. And you guys are like, what? Because that's just okay. I love Jibber.
You know, they tried to get us to do a reality show.
Shut up. All 20 of you?
They came for us. You're Love in Huntsville. Oh, Love and Marriage in Huntsville. That's the one.
Oh.
You know that show?
I don't do TV. And I'm pitiful like that. But I think
it is a reality show. Love and Marriage in Huntsville. I can't remember, like 5 or 6 years. Huntsville, Alabama. Okay. And then they spun it off. I think there's Love and Marriage in Detroit or whatever. And I don't watch reality shows regular, but my father, before he left us, he loved messy.
Yeah. I just wanted to be at one barbecue. He loved messy.
The more mess, the better. He just loves that. You know,
it's funny.
He watched soap operas, you know, whatever. The Greenleaf, the messy reality shows.
Greenleaf, that is my husband's show.
Okay, just all of that. The more mess, the better for him. Like, oh, look at what she did, or what they did, or what happened there, whatever. You know, just loved it. So I knew that production company. That was sort of a very successful production company that approached us to. And it's like, we don't have the messy though for you.
You know, they write it. They would write some stuff.
That's what everybody was saying, you know, in terms of like, we can make some up now.
And that's what they do. I think in a lot of cases,
they
make
so
a
we
lot
said,
of stuff up.
Thanks, but no thanks. So, and I think, and maybe it was because they came first because of what you were saying. That's why I brought it up, because what you're saying in terms of Black women can't.
Right. And they're probably like, no, there's something going on. I'm going to tell you what, I'm writing myself a little note here. Because I feel in my spirit, I'm just going to invite all y'all, all 20 of y'all to do a podcast discussion group. Because I just want to meet all y'all and see y'all. Because I'm so serious. I just think that's the neatest thing I've ever heard of. The Dresden Divas. When Sunithia told me about the story, I was like, get out of here, girl.
Yeah. And it's like we're having our first more of them coming next month. Well, almost next month in September, October.
Yeah, because she said you guys used to get together and do your thing. Yeah,
before the pandemic, because the last big one was in 2020, in February 2020. I remember very distinctly thinking, while we were in, you know, the house, whatever, hearing about this COVID thing, like, oh my gosh, what is that going to be about? You know, so it was like the last week of February, and like we were all partying, like
before the world shut down.
Right. It was this sort of, it was like this little, the dark clouds are over there, and they seem to be coming this way. Something that we can't put our finger on is coming this way, and it might impact the next time that we are able to do this, get a house and all of this other kind of stuff. So here it is, not until like, it's really 2.5 years later. I mean, not 3.5 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, look.
So we're looking forward to it.
I'd like to be your podcaster.
Yay!
I'm so serious because I'm just like, this is insane. So, advice for aspiring writers.
Read. Not enough of people is reading, honey. And I don't want people specifically or pointing no fingers, but it shows. Does you have a problem with your product and why people are not responding to it and all of this other kind of stuff? It's because you have not read enough.
Right. And that's reading in your genre, outside of your genre, professional books. Read.
It shows that you are not a reader. There are people who say this openly now. Writers who say this openly.
Say what? I don't read? Well, how are you? That would be my question to my students. How are you planning on writing anything for me if you haven't read anything? You don't have a model. What are you doing? Okay.
You have to at least, if you have a model, it's either have a model to know what you're going to do in that same vein or how to depart from it. They exist for all the reasons.
Right.
But you must read. People who, you know, seem like, oh, well, of course. No, it's not an of course. Because it is that whether it's, you know, what I see in the classroom where I'm taking my unscientific temperatures for students or whatever, not enough reading is happening.
Yeah.
Anywhere. So
there
you go.
And that's the biggest piece of advice. Be a reader, an all-around reader. I agree. All-around reader. Because I tell people, don't limit yourself to, oh, I'm Black, I'm only reading Black writers. I'm a woman, I'm only reading women. Listen, read whatever you can get your little greedy hands on. Because they're either going to show you what you love about, a thing, or they're going to show you, oh, I don't like the way that sounds, I don't like the way that looks, so this is not something I want to integrate. But also, you're always learning. You're always learning.
And it's like you said, people don't want to hear that some of these things are going to take time to develop these skills.
Yes.
In terms of this, I had this discussion like just a week ago, a week and a half ago, and then wanted, to get all up in arms and all ruffled about what you have to do. I'm sorry, I don't know what to say, but
people need to be honest.
Me,
but they need to be honest.
You asked me,
right?
And so I'm telling you.
And they need to be honest with themselves. I can go back and look at the first book I published in my series, and I'm like, "Oh, girl, just take it down."
Yeah,
look. Take it down, please, girl. Just take it down. And I look at the fourth book in the series, and I'm like, oh, girl, who wrote that? Who was that? Because that growth.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the stuff I'm writing now, and I'm like, oh, let's just you know what? We're going to publish this under your real name. How about that? And then, because that's where I am, there's growth.
Exactly. And some people, just castrate me because when I say I'm a craft hoe, I am. A craft hoe. There are, I love all the craft books and everything. I love it all. And
I'm coming for your corner. Look, I'm coming for your corner. I'm just becoming a craft hoe.
So watch out.
Watch out. Come for the queen. You best not miss.
Yeah, I'm coming for the corner, and I already got my heels. So
love it. I just love it. I mean, it's even one that I have just finished. You by Rita Sepetys, who is seen as this great historical fiction author, but there were a couple of nuggets in there that were very meaningful for me. So you can't stop. Can't stop that.
Can you give me some of those for my TBR? Some good craft hoe books so that I won't come for your corner and I can just stay on my own. And look, not now. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I'm happy to.
Shoot me an email because it's like, wait. There's this thing though, right? Like this whole language to writing that isn't about, the story and all that stuff. It's the mechanics.
It's the mechanics.
Yeah.
And most pointedly, I think there are some people who are doing it piece by piece these days, but there's still not an all-around guide doing it. I'm just talking about what it's going to take in order to capture the attention of a 21st century reader. That is not the same as when it was in Charles Dickens' time or Steinbeck's time or anything else, but for the 21st century reader now. This is what I was talking about to this person who aspires, who wanted me to tell them what to do. There is a whole art to doing what you have to do to get their attention and to keep it.
And you have to do it immediately.
You have to do it immediately. The days of Charles Dickens are over in terms of
thank Jehoshaphat and all the people who marched.
You got paid by the word. If you get paid by the word, you do it too, right? But I'm just saying. You would do it too. You got paid. You use a whole lot of words.
No doubt.
But that attention span, all that, everything that 21st century readers are competing with or whatever, you have got to get your hooks in on page one. So
keep it. And that's the problem though, right? You might be able to get it.
You got
but can you keep it for 300 and some odd pages?
That's it. That's the thing.
Without being repetitive, without being, niche or cliche. Like, what are you going to do?
That's it.
Yeah. That's
absolutely.
That's beautiful. Read and whatever keeps your attention, start taking notes. Okay. I am the head of the publishing industry. What do you want to tell me? I know I look different than you thought I would, but it's me.
Okay. All right, publishing company.
Okay,
yes.
Yes, it's me. So
something else along the lines of what you're working on. There's a whole lot of people in this mid-list space that need those dollars, that need to be lifted up, that need some more attention and spotlight. in these various spaces where people are reading and exchanging creative ideas and information. Some of that is going on in HBCUs. What are you doing in HBCUs in order to increase your population of editors and agents? Can you put a publishing program at one of the HBCUs in terms of providing feeders for to the? Oh yeah, I've been talking about that for years. Not that anybody listens to me.
Can you increase the salary so that you don't have to come from a well-off family?
Part of it too. Exactly.
In order
the whole
to
aspect,
yes.
In terms of making it possible for those students to be able to work in that industry.
Yes.
In terms of creating, the environment even for internships, the whole aspect of, can you provide housing and appropriate stipends for those students so they can stay in New York in order to do the internships so that they can get their foot in the doors of the publishing industry, all of that.
I think we just solved everything. So I guess I'll write a letter and send it to you for approval. And that'd be.
That's one of the things I'm thinking about. Why students now want to major in English, right? And that's my upcoming, it's what I've been working with or whatever in terms of what they can do with that. Having students coming into my office crying because their parents don't want them to, and all of this.
Yes. Been there.
All of that, yeah.
Yes.
As an advisor, being on the other side of the desk, that I can think we have organizations, but they tend to be more for writers in terms of developing writers as opposed to developing people in the publishing industry.
That needs to be a thing. I'm putting you in charge of that.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
No problem. I do what I can for the people.
When I get that,
I do what I can for the people. All right. So we're ready to play this game. Yeah. So do you remember the rules?
No, give them to me again.
Okay. I'm going to give you a word, and you're going to give me a really brief anecdotal story about anything, right?
Okay.
But you'll have to end your little story with #bookish or #writer's life or #writing while Black.
Okay.
And some of them may fall into multiple categories, and that's fine. Okay. The game is called Tell the Whole Story. And so your words are going to spell out the word story.
Okay.
So Y is always a weirdo.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay. So that's your first word.
So I have to make a story in terms of the
Yeah. A personal anecdotal story about sewing.
About sewing. But I do have to use each letter you're saying.
No, that's your first word. So
just the word. Okay, about sewing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I went to a place where I was going to learn how to make a baby quilt, and was not successful in making the baby quilt. So I have a bag with a whole lot of pink and blue triangles in the corner someplace because the quilting was really hard and just did not help me in terms of thinking about. And I gained much more of an appreciation of my quilting ancestors. #booking.
#writing while Black.
Writing while Black.
Yes, my mom sews, and my grandmothers, they all make quilts. I still have a quilt from my grandma.
Many seamstresses have said to me, "Will you sew?" No, I don't. But my mother did.
Yes.
So I witnessed a lot of that and a lot of that inclination and what it was to put something together successfully and what that meant in terms of that for Ann Lowe. I was able to do that because of her.
Wow. Yeah. My mom can make her own patterns. She still does to this day. Like me.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Not even with a needle.
I'm glad to see that other people are taking it up more. So there was a time when I think that's because of fast fashion or whatever people decide, but there are more people who are taking it up. So I'm glad to see the return of it amongst these younger people.
Yeah. Now I crochet
Okay.
like a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's mostly so I don't hurt people.
Yeah, I heard that.
It keeps me sane.
And just like people say, it's a form of meditation.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It is.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. Tattered.
Tattered. Tattered. I mean, sort of things that have been taken apart or ripped up in terms of tattered. One of those could be words in terms of whenever it's time to revise your text and thinking about what goes in and what, is kept. Tattered, like I said, in terms of one of the things, like taking out your favorite words and not relying upon them so hard, or writing habits that we all have.
I hate to stop right here, but we got to pay the bills. We'll be back after this message.
27%. Any guesses what that number means? Is it the number of people in the US that listen to podcasts? Actually, that number is 24%. Well, in 2017, that number has increased exponentially up to 64% in March of 2023. Podcasting continues to be on the rise. It is the place to be. Only 27% of podcasts are hosted by women. Only 27%. Are you as shocked as I was? Just think of all the voices we are missing. Is your voice one of those? Is there a topic you keep thinking about? A message you know needs to be shared? Guests you know you want to interview? Or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you know that you want to help others get to know you better and know what you do. Podcasting is the way to do it. This is why I founded Authentic Connections Network. A podcast network that is so much more than you'd imagine. We take the tech and stress out of podcasting. We give you the power of a network, the power of community, of education around podcasting, of coaching, individualized supports, and all the other incredible women breaking through and changing the landscape of podcasting. Isn't it time you realize your dream? We believe strongly in our creators. We believe in Ella Shawn and in Black Writers Therapy. There are conversations that need to happen, stories that need to be told. Authentic Connection Network is the place for them. Follow us on Instagram at 37by27. Comment the word amplify on any of our posts or DM it if that feels better to you. I want to learn more about you and your goals and how maybe you could be part of Authentic Connections.
Have that form almost like these particular trademarks. So my favorite word is that. I'm really bad with that word. I just have to.
You know what I do at the end of a manuscript? Because I always do it in Word, and I always go in and I find that and take all of them out.
Yeah.
And then I realize you never need that word that.
There are a few times when you need it, but you really do not need it as often that you
I just love it.
It is so, I know. It's so, I love that word.
See? It does serve a great purpose.
Hashtag writing life.
Yes, indeed. Amazing. So we are on Oracle.
Oracle. A person, a woman of profound knowledge and understanding, almost in a religious space. The Oracle story that I have is something that I've incorporated in a book that's not published, but it has to do with the year my son played football. And you go to a particular store in this particular tattered out parcel in College Park where we live to get uniforms. And it was run by this one ancient man who was up front. You didn't think that anybody else could be more ancient than him. But then he's like, let me take you to the back of the store where mother is. So you can see Mother. And Mother was back in the back of the store. That's where she hangs out. She is the football oracle in Georgia.
Wait, is this like for real, for real?
Oh yeah, yeah. I created her that way, at least, because it was a very strange process whereby you took your son through the sporting goods store where, like I said, this old man, he had to be in his 80s already. And when he said Mother, I was like, excuse me. I never got the refinement. Took us back to the back of the store where she was. And it was this little mop of gray hair, like you could see at the top. And it's like you could just see her top of her head, the top half of her head. And she said, bring him forward to me so I can see him. And you put your son in front of this woman. I see him. I see. He is made for football from the top of his head to the soles of his feet. Go on back there and get that helmet and put on his head and let me see how it fit on him. He was made for football. Because I can see that's the daddy. Is that his mama? I was like, yeah. Well, yeah, he got most of that from his daddy, didn't he? Well, that's what everybody says when they see me with my son, because he's 6'5". So it's like they don't see us, but whenever they see him with his father, like, oh, that's how it happened. It's like, my family was tall. Everybody in my family was tall. I just happened to be the shortest one at 5'5".
And welcome to my club. How you doing?
There you go. There you go.
How you doing? Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Oracle, the football Oracle.
Wait, I'm confused. Was this a real person, or
this was a real person? And I wrote her into this story that I'm working on about football circumstances.
A football oracle.
I don't know, as my mother said, she was one day older than God. Mm-hmm.
Of course, in Georgia.
Yeah, of course, in Georgia. There's a whole big thing here in terms of these conduits of, like, I mean, when my son we were playing at one of the little Chick-fil-A play yard things they used to have before the pandemic, and people came up to us and asked us, where was he zoned for high school?
How old was he? Shush.
He was 3 years old.
Because SEC? South Carolina, Georgia? Yes. Oh, I know.
Asked us where we lived to know what high school he was zoned for. And the high school that he did go to is a big football high school. And they kept after him. But for that year, as I said, the year my son played, because he was 10 and he was 5'5" when he was 10. He was looking me dead in the eye at that point.
Mine.
Yeah. And so, it was very strange, and it is something that I have written about. I don't know if we'll ever see the light of day in terms of publishing.
Need that to see the light of day, because the football oracle, that's some good Southern lit right there. Like, that is some good Southern lore.
Totally was a totally Southern lit moment. And she said he is made for football from the top of his head to the soles of his feet.
Don't put that helmet on his head. He must have got that from his daddy.
Let it rest on his ears, so make sure that it fit properly. We want his entire head to be covered.
She was old, like super old.
Super old. This is what my mother would say, one day older than God, that woman.
I am so done, a football oracle.
Only in Georgia, right?
Never in my life have, and I'm in South Carolina. I'm like, not far from Charleston, right here in Columbia, Gaston. He got some folks.
I know, but there are some folk here too. And like I said, the high school that my son went to, like, this is a place where people come to look, to see. But they didn't get him, honey. He was like, I don't like doing that. Shoot, that's fine by me.
So he didn't play football?
Just that 1 year when he was.
But he was made for football.
From his to the soles of his feet.
Yes, please write. I'm Southern.
Yeah, it's like the historical thing, and then I've been working on these, like, almost satire-y kind of.
Yes.
In a contemporary space, satires kind of.
Because Southern fiction just lends itself to all the yumminess of
yes.
truth.
True. It does. Truth. It really does.
And
It
you
really
could
does.
give it in kind of palatable fiction.
Yeah,
That's why I love it. I love it so
really
much.
does.
Goodness. Okay. That was your oracle. Okay.
That was my oracle. Oh yeah, I was like black.
Yes, ma'am.
Like,
Your R word is rendered.
rendered bacon. To
Like
get the full effect of bacon, you must render the fat out of it.
I don't even eat meat anymore. And when I tell you, there are two things that tempt me: my mama's fried chicken
I've heard that from
Bacon.
people, like the bacon is one of those last things
And
that they
bacon.
cannot let go.
bacon, and my mama's fried chicken. Because my mom renders all her bacon fat, puts it in her little tin.
Liquid gold.
Yeah, and she uses it
That's what it's called. Liquid gold.
in her fried chicken oil.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How are you gonna
Liquid
say
gold.
no? How are you saying no to that? Right? Like,
Well, I remember if there was one thing in my one contemporary romance, Sweet Tea, which is, I call it it's a foodie romance. People say when you read that,
so you want me to start there? That's what you're telling me. Right after, like,
all I'm saying is, if you ever read it, make sure you have a snack nearby. That's what I've been told. There's a lot of that kind of thing in there.
Always. If my health was better, when I tell you, my mom would be making me fried chicken every day. We're gonna move on. Rendered.
Okay.
Bacon. God, why do you do that to me?
Hashtag writing while black.
You are mean. Okay. Cry together, girl. Here's your last word. And it's really a word. It's yuck and yum. So one yuck, one yum.
Oh.
Don't say the oracle is your yuck.
I am not. Raw cookies.
Raw cookies?
Hashtag yuck. What is this current trend of people serving raw cookies in places where they act like, oh, look at all this gush, when it's really just a raw cookie that is not fully cooked?
I don't like that. I don't like that either. I thought you meant like I make cookie dough without like dairy and stuff just to snack on. No, but you're talking about my cookie's supposed to be baked, but it's raw. Oh no, ma'am.
Right. Exactly.
That's a yuck.
Yeah, yuck. Hashtag bookish. That is like, yeah.
And you're yum.
Already said about bacon.
Let's not mention the pork again.
Yum. The best yum is my longing for a watermelon that tastes like something. My great-grandfather was a watermelon man. Yeah, Ida's father was a watermelon man, and so I got stories from my father about that. And I claim it, not fear of the stereotype, but I thoroughly claim that.
Indeed, like to find a watermelon, like the big ones, the long ones like this, full of black seeds. My grandfather used to soak his seeds in sugar water, dry them out, and just, what are you doing? What are you doing? Sitting on the front porch, eating your watermelon and spitting seeds at your cousin.
There's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
No, and I can't find a good watermelon like that anymore.
It's been years. Because what they have now are these neutered, seedless, tasteless, flavorless.
Yes. I just want one of those big ones. When you crack it, it smells like summer.
Yeah. It's the best.
Oh, now you got me out here wanting bacon and watermelon and fried chicken.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't read Sweet Tea then. It's like full of all of that.
That was yum. Yeah.
Nothing like it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to let you go, but I know I have to. But I'm going to be a good therapist and give you a little bit of homework.
Oh, good.
Because, that's what they pay me for. Can you tell me who should be on my show next? Look at your face. You just lit up like sunshine. Like, what the world?
Jamie Wesley. Destin Diva.
Jamie Wesley.
Rom-com writer extraordinaire. Yeah.
I can't write it because I have like a dark sense of humor, so it's always kind of weird. But yes, Jamie.
Yes.
Now you had mentioned Sandra Calhoun.
Yes, those are my besties in terms of the writing thing right now. Sandra is also perfectly wonderful in terms of what she has done in the inspirational space
Okay.
as a Black woman, a space where, you know,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't always
Mm-hmm.
welcome, but Sandra has made a way out of no way.
Won't he do it? I'm sorry.
Won't he do it?
I had to get that little bit of Baptist out. Had to get the Baptist.
Do it. It's absolutely
Yes,
right.
won't he do it? Yes. You just forgot the silly in me. Really, you do. Miss Jamie Wesley, rom-com, and Sandra Calhoun, inspirational. I love that.
It's fiction.
Shush,
It's
your
romance.
Okay. Okay. So I'm thinking because I have
romance.
Stacey Hawkins Adams, right?
Okay, yes.
Inspirational. So we're in that vein.
Yeah, well, not in that vein. It's still like fictitious, romantic, more romance type stuff. So
I am down like 4 flat tires. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Look, I just want to show you all my notes.
Yeah, you got a lot of notes on me. My goodness.
Yes, I have to print and type everything in like 16 fonts because I'm as blind as a
I heard that. Got my
yeah.
glasses on.
Yes, and I'm going to send you these 2 websites that I was looking at. And I was just like, it was about AMLO, and I thought, I'm just going to send them to you. Just, you know, not that you probably already hadn't looked at it, or probably they were inspired by your book. In all honesty, but I thought they were really beautiful. Just looking at some of her stuff.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you want to tell the listeners? How to get in touch with you? A little bit about what you're working on now, which I'm like kind of counting down for.
Well, I can. One more thing before I say all of the social media type of stuff is that the 2 things that Margaret Powell, who was a scholar, a textile scholar, who did a lot of the work on AMLO that permitted me to write by her own design, the 2 things that up until her last days she was trying to accomplish. One of them will be happening within 7 weeks. So yeah, she wanted for AMLO to be accepted and appreciated as a fashion designer, to have an exhibit. This is one of the things she was trying to curate. Because of the high level of craft of AMLO's work, her dresses are kept in museums all over the country. And starting in September, early September, the Winter Thur Museum in Delaware will bring together something like nearly 50 of her gowns for display for 4 months. That is also in part commemoration of Jack and Jackie's 70th wedding anniversary, which also meant that Jackie's dress, was recreated by a University of Delaware professor and her fashion students, some of whom were young Black women. And the lessons, of course, that they learned in having to make a dress out of 50 yards of ivory taffeta, it gained them much more appreciation of what AMLO happened to do.
Are you going to be there? Are you going to be there for the opening?
Event, not for the opening. My event is in December. December 6th.
You're going too fast. I gotta find some loose paper. Wait,
now when is it? December 6th is when my event is going to be. I arranged for it to be in December, partly because I had suggested to them that December will be AMLO's 125th birthday, but also because it's Christmas time at the Winter Thur, and I hear they do a certain thing at Christmas time, so I had to see that. So,
gotcha. Yes. And it's the Winter what? Because
Winter Thur, WINTER THUR, the Winter Thur Museum.org. It's in Delaware. That's 30 miles outside of Philadelphia, because, you know, once you get to that part of the East Coast, everything is right close to one another. So that was one thing that Margaret Powell, before she departed this earth, wanted for AMLO, to have her. And Margaret, bless her heart, she's only 38 years old when she died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, of breast cancer. Yes.
So sad.
Yeah, but as an academic, you're talking about the whole thing in terms of being an academic, Black woman academic, you see a lot of Black women dying early and their projects left to languish elsewhere. So while I couldn't pulled together the exhibit. While I couldn't, her second wish for heart was to have a comprehensive scholarly biography written about Anne Lowe. But at least I could write a historical fiction that would bring more awareness to Anne Lowe, that hopefully someone will take that up and complete some of the things that she was trying to do. I just wanted to make people be aware of that.
Okay. I will make sure that this is in the notes.
Yeah,
with the link.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And if if people can't go to the exhibit, then there will be a catalog. So you can purchase the catalog. Certainly. They have prepared, they show on Instagram the several ways in which they've prepared the gowns, to be photographed at all angles and stuff. So
I'm going to try and make it up there. I'm like, I have so much going on at the end of the year, but I think I can do that in December.
Yeah. Well, the whole aspect of a black woman being exhibited in this way is a rarity.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rarity. So yeah, I think the more the better. So social media wise, I could be found at Piper Hughley, my name now, on this formerly known as Twitter, the Black X kind of thing, which is really my favorite social media. I'm gonna be here till the wheels fall off. This horrible man can come in and do what he likes, but that is my place, and I'm just gonna do what I do.
So you haven't gone over the threads yet?
Not yet. But yeah, I'm waiting for them to get all the kinks out before I do that. Facebook and Instagram is Piper_Hughley.
Yeah.
And then my blog or my website, of course, piperhughley.com. Yeah.
So now, can you tell us what you're working on?
I am currently editing for an April 2nd, 2024 release, American Daughters, which is the story of the secret interracial friendship between the daughter of Theodore Roosevelt, Alice, and the daughter of Booker T. Washington, Portia. People who know the history, then they know that shortly after TR got to be president, in the wake of the McKinley assassination in 1901, he just thought he would invite Booker T. Washington over for dinner, and nothing would happen. The whole world blew up. In fact, because he didn't realize that was the first time that an African American had been invited to the White House for a meal. There were cartoons. It was a whole lot of craziness.
I'm going on another deep dive. Why are you doing this to me?
That's what the novel is, right? And so in the wake of that, there are two rebel teenage daughters who were within months of each other in age, became friends, and the friendship lasted for 3/4 of a century. So that's what American Daughters is all about. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah. So their lives as daughters of important statesmen, the decisions that they made in terms of their marriages because of that.
Right.
And what their lives were like as mothers because of that. It's all very interesting fodder for historical fiction. So,
one more question.
Yes.
Because I meant, how do you choose what you're going to write about?
I choose very purposefully.
Yeah. And
part of the choosing has to do with what I know people can connect to thematically.
Gotcha.
Because of that. So I sort of intuited with American Daughters, and I think maybe in the wake of George Floyd and everything, this whole aspect of what it's been a theme I've always had an interest in terms of the possibilities of interracial friendship. What happens in a space when white supremacy, as it comes in to sit down,
right?
How it gets chased away, and how does that form an important part of what friendship is. I've long had an interest in that, and part of the interest that I've long had in it is that I noticed that Black women didn't write about it. It's always the sort of that white women writers were writing about it, but not Black women writers.
Oh yeah, there's this. What's the book? I can't remember whose book it is. Is it Denny?
Denny, that she's co-writing with Eliza about Ella Fitzgerald.
Yes.
And Marilyn Monroe. And then The First Ladies, which also just got released, about the friendship between Eleanor Roosevelt and Mary McLeod Bethune.
Yes. And I'm like, what's going on with the Roosevelt family? What's going on here? Right? And I was like, oh, that's very interesting. So I'm just like,
there are several Eleanor references, but Alice and Eleanor didn't get along for a long period of time. So, and Alice she's a catty heifer.
Oh, she's, I love a messy thing too.
She was very messy. The famous saying that she had embroidered on a pillow, if you don't have something nice to say about it, someone come sit by me. Yeah, and they photographed her with the pillow. She openly admitted to that was, I love being messy. So, or, all of the other stories about her as first daughter where Theodore Roosevelt said, I can either run the country or I can control Alice, but I cannot do both.
Oh, Alice.
So, both of these men, one white, one black, talking about these daughters.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
Yeah. So.
Look, if you need an art reader.
Okay, absolutely.
I'm always offering up, I can send you my address. I'm here for it.
Okay. All right, I will do.
Just let me know. Look.
And I'm in the proposal stages on the next historical thing. So I'm not going to say in terms of that. I would say that there have been previous historical fiction about this person. It's because she didn't know what to do. She didn't know how to write about this Black woman.
They can't tell our stories. We can tell their stories all day and tomorrow. Okay, this is off the record again. Look, okay. I won't even put this in.
Okay, if you cut it out. Okay, if you cut it out. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that exclusive with us. As promised, your secret is safe with your unlicensed therapist, Ella Shawn. Now let's get back to your current work in progress.
This is why I had no fear about American Daughters, because I know Alice.
You've met Alice's, haven't you?
Right. That is easy to do. Yes. Right. Exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully you'll like it.
Knocking on wood.
I've been working on all summer, so.
Really, hope comes from a place of lack. What we're saying is, man, I can't wait to read this freaking book.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm serious. This is going to be great.
I'm claiming it. Yeah, it needs to be done. Yeah, well, thank you.
You are truly, seriously, you truly are inspirational. And I mean, thank you. I knew I was looking forward to this for a reason. I didn't know what. I'm serious. I was like, I don't know why I'm so like. At first, I thought it was just your name because I'm thinking it's the best freaking name ever. But then I was like,
had my mom to thank for that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, you were awesome. So thank you.
Thank you. It was good to meet you, Vicki.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thank you for joining me for this session of Black Writer Therapy. Be sure to follow and leave a review wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And keep the conversations going on Instagram using our hashtag Black Writer Therapy. I'm your host and unlicensed therapist, Ella Shawn, reminding you to be kindest to yourself first, always and in all ways. See you guys next week. Bye.